Good morning, everyone. It's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am Ariana Newcomer, Dove Oracle Priestess, and soon to be certified biofield tuning practitioner. And my topic today is celebrating crisis. Why would we want to do that? You would probably ask. That's kind of loony. I came across this really interesting article. One of my favorite sources for positive news is The Optimist. Great place you can subscribe to get their daily positive news. And there's actually a lot of good news on the front of the environment and the climate and what people are doing to help address climate change so that we can have a planet we can still live on. So this is a very interesting article called Celebrating Crisis Towards a Culture of Cooperation. And I'll put a link to this article in the comments here. Just pop that in here. It's long, but I think really worth a read. So the author begins by, let me fix this link here. Let's see if that works. By talking about the various crises that have happened in the evolution of the planet and how the earliest beings were these archaea group of bacteria, and that they learned that when they just actually competed with each other and took over other colonies of other kinds of bacteria in order to eat them or eat what they produced, then they found that their food went away because they ate it all, or they killed the others in the process of doing it. And they actually learned to create cooperative systems so that the things that produced oxygen were with things that used the oxygen so that it didn't become toxic in the atmosphere. Actually, too much oxygen is corrosive and toxic in the atmosphere. Who knew? And then, so now we have this wonderful system whereby the oxygen creators, which are the photosynthesizers, so most plants help create oxygen, live amongst those who actually create and give off CO2, carbon dioxide, like humans and other animals. So we live in this cooperative environment where the oxygen producers are giving us something we need and we are giving them something they need, which is carbon dioxide. And this is something that's true within our human bodies too. What many of us don't realize is we actually contain many, many more bacteria in our bodies than we do human cells. We have more bacterial DNA in our bodies than we do human DNA. And we're beginning to understand the importance of the gut biome, the bacteria in our gut. So we have beneficial bacteria that live in our gut that assist us in digesting our food so that we can live, and clearly we're giving them something that they need. It's a cooperative relationship that works for both. Now, sometimes we can have too many bacteria that are not helpful, and then we have to do something to restore the balance. So the thrust of this article is that the crises that we are experiencing as humanity on the planet right now are actually a wonderful opportunity. We're looking our own extinction straight in the eye from the way that we have dealt with nature, with our planet. And we can now choose, as the highly creative people, beings that we are, to choose a different way, to move into cooperation instead of competition all the time. And she points out that when we do this as humans, when there are disasters, we start cooperating and we help each other. She points out that after the Fukushima disaster, the cooperation amongst the people in Japan was 100%. So these disasters, these crises, give us the opportunity to shift and change behaviors, habits of behaving, ways of being that don't really serve us in the long run. So bringing all this into awareness and consciousness is helpful, and it gives us the opportunity to create the solutions we need to come into cooperation so that we can continue to exist as a species. So she sees this, the author of the article sees this time as potentially very positive. And truthfully, I received a message along these lines after Trump was elected to our presidency here in the US, that this was a kind of necessary thing in order to bring the shadow up, to be seen and to be healed. And a friend of mine who is a Lakota Diné elder, Dr. Maria Michael, received similar information from her spirit guides, saying that this was necessary and important for all of this horrible stuff to be put right up in our faces, because otherwise we wouldn't choose to change. We wouldn't choose to change the systems. So we have to have a certain amount of system breakdown in order to change the systems for the better, and to make it right in our faces that, hello, our very existence as a species is at risk. And it's time for us to mature. She calls this maturing as a species, as a culture, from this idea of competition to cooperation. And many of you have heard me talk about Riane Eisler's work in the past. And her work around the domination versus partnership cultures is reflecting a very similar idea here, that we can't just think about dominating, exploiting, maintaining power through fear and violence at any cost, no matter what it does to the collective. But as we come into a more partnership understanding and begin to shift our culture into the culture of partnership, that's the cooperation that we need, where we understand that we are all interconnected. We are in a web. We are in a woven web. And we can actually all contribute to each other and thus create a sustainable environment for ourselves to continue to live in. So it's just really, really an interesting article. I recommend that you read it or at least scan it. But one of the things that is really important to be able to do this kind of thing is to have the flexibility. So when we become rigid in ideology, in our physical selves, when we become rigid, unmoving, that's when we're in really big trouble. We have to be able to be flexible. We have to be able to look and see, okay, where are the places that I can be more cooperative, not just with others, but with all of nature upon which we depend. Clearly, we're seeing we depend upon the climate being hospitable to our species and to the species that we depend upon for food. So cultures like the old growth forests, they have developed this kind of cooperation. I've done some talking too about things like the Wood Wide Web. So scientists are beginning to discover this incredible communication network underground, where trees' roots connect with the roots of other plants and with the mycelium, the roots of the fungal networks, the mushrooms. And they pass information and they pass nutrients to each other. And they do this cross species in the mature forests. They don't just help their own species. They know that as each contributes, everyone is benefiting in the whole system of the forest. So this is the same for humanity, for us as humans working with each other in our relations to each other. It also is crucial in human relationship with nature and with earth. So we do have a lot of opportunity right now. It's hard. It's hard times. It's really, really hard to watch what's going on. All the fires everywhere, all the right-wing leaders coming into power, the disregard for the rule of law, for the truth, for a free press, and for this kind of cooperation, this hanging on tight to the dominator model. I'm going to dominate. I have to dominate or I will be dominated. I have to be superior to somebody else or I'm not in the right place. Well, partnership, cooperation says we are all in this together. We are all equally important. We don't have to be superior to others in order to feel okay. In a cooperative partnership system, we have power with others. We share, we cooperate, and we create systems that help to promote that sharing, the cooperation, and the understanding, the maturation of ourselves as a species. So this is a big part of what our evolution and consciousness has to be, is coming into this cooperation. It's not just about ascension and leaving the planet. It's about really, really cooperating, coming into this mature evolution of our species so that we can continue to exist on the planet. So crisis as opportunity, we can celebrate these crises because things are up. Notice how the youth are marching in the streets all over the world. So when I was a teenager, I was involved in the strikes and marches against the Vietnam War. I was in high school at the time. And my brother and I walked out of high school, and my older brother and we went to the March on Washington against the war in Vietnam. So the youth are showing us the way forward here. And part of our ability to do this kind of shift and change is to be flexible, as I said. And one of the ways to assist our own internal flexibility is to get tuned. So as a soon-to-be certified biofield tuning practitioner, I'm still inviting people to have a biofield tuning session with me for only $50 an hour until I get certified. My certification should come through on October 9th. So you are welcome to contact me. These sessions work just as well by distance as they do in person. They are very profound and help you to have that internal alignment and balance, and to reclaim and recover some of the energy that's been lost over your lifetime in various ways, so that you have this flexibility and strength to do the shifting and changing that we need to do in these times. So I hope to be with you for a biofield tuning session, and I'll see you next week.